Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. So welcome back, welcome. I am planning on finishing the detail on my little corset here. Now, what I wanted to do is actually make it feel like that lacing was actually in place. So I found this vintage crochet cotton. She's a bit of an old girl and it's a little bit thicker than the one I use normally and a slightly brighter cream. So what I'm thinking is the outside lines will be all stitched in this. And I'm hoping that I can, I guess, couch on, oh, she's an old girl, this, couch on some of this. There's a few stains on it, so I just want to pull all that off because I think we can afford to make sure we've got at least clean cotton. That's better. Let's just put that aside. So I'm hoping that I can stitch this so that it's loose but not loose. Now there'll probably, if you get close up to a corset, there's usually like a little ringlet there that holds this lace or lacing. So what I'm thinking is if I bring up this thicker cotton here, and then head across to there, then I'm hoping that I can come up nearby, and then when I go back with this cotton, I'll just scoot down that side seam and it will look like this has been caught in there. I think that will work, you know. So yeah, that goes to there. It's just like lacing up a shoe. Let's see if we can jump now. This should work. I just needed to find something was a little bit thicker to do the job. So it really does feel like it is laced. And then what we'll do is we'll come down the other side and the two can come together and be tied off with like a little bow or something, I guess. It's going to be a bit exaggerated in size, but that's okay. We'll need to bring the lacing then to the front. We probably could have even taken it to the top up in here, but this I think will work. So if we just cut enough off to tie a little bow, oh, I like that. That's going to work a treat. So let's start again at the top. Yep. Did I put a knot in that? Yes. So how are you all? How's your stitching going? I just feel like I've got so much stitching going on. It's like happy days. It's really good. I love it when I've got lots of projects because I can then drift between them depending on sort of what takes my fancy. I've always loved that. There we go. That's worked a treat. How easy is that? I'm so pleased I decided to do that. Once I get rid of those black lines from the pen, it will look heaps better. Gee, really fun. How simple was that? That does look like it's been laced, doesn't it? So let's bring that up in the center there. And then what I'm thinking is attempting to tie a little bow there. I'm sure they would have knotted it. Just doing that so it looks like a little bow to finish it. And then what we'll do is I will get this cotton before I forget, and I'm just going to use really fine cotton just to stitch that knot so that bow just will not come undone. So like a little securing stitch. You could even drop a little dob of, what do you call it? Art glitter glue. Just going to stitch through there. That'll never come undone. I might use the art glitter glue on the ends of that cotton there so that it just doesn't fray. It probably won't because it's in a book, but you only need a few little fingers to come along and fiddle with your bow, and before you know it, you've got, you know, the ends of your thread would be starting to look tatty. So just going to trim that so that knot now will not come undone, and I'm going to grab my art glitter glue. Just love this stuff for little daubs here and there because it's got fixative in it. I'm not 100% sure what's in this stuff, but I believe it's like a PVA glue that's got this really fast drying, see, just tiny little daub, really fast drying agent in it that makes it, you know, dry within seconds. Perfect for when you're working with paper products. And that's how I discovered it when I was doing some journals. So that is handy. Now, gosh, I don't have much of this left. Look at that. How many meters is on a roll of crochet cotton? Let's have a look. Oh, it doesn't have its thing. How many meters have I stitched? 10 grams. They're probably never going to tell us because then we'll know if they've snuck a meter or two out, hey? Made in France. Yeah, I can't see it easily. Another roll. The kilometres of stitching we do in our lifetime. And if you don't think you're doing kilometres, you are. It's quite surprising just how many meters and meters and meters we travel when we're stitching. Okay, so now I'm just going to pick up here, and like I did for the bottom, I'm just going to do a little split stitch just to finish that last little detail of her bodice, and that'll tone in nicely. Yep. Yeah, that looks really good. Lovely. I love it when a plan comes together. Yeah, that's great. My lines have disappeared a little bit. So what were we meant to be doing here? Okay. Sloping slightly. Well, mine's going to be quite a sharp line. That's okay. We're redesigning. We're a seamstress and we've decided that the client would like a sharper line there. So we've restitched it. Gee, we can make up whatever story we want to adjust the stitching to suit Yeah, that's good. I was concerned that that pink fabric with that little floral print would not work, but I'm so pleased I stuck with it because the blue is so plain. This here, the mannequin itself, and I really feel like we've picked a pretty little fabric for her bodice, because that would be the case, you know, you pick floral fabrics for your clothing. So I'm so pleased I stuck with it and didn't use that plainer pink that I had in my hand. It looks really good. So I'm now just coming down this side seam. Don't have a lot to do on it. Once we get this little detail stitched in, we'll give it a little iron. And then we can trim it and we'll pin it and position it in my journal. And we are at the end of the journey. So thank you so much, Susanna, for reaching out to me and saying, hey, I'm doing this. Would you like to join in? Okay. I am absolutely chuffed at how much I've learnt. I'm really impressed. Like, yeah, really impressed. I know I will be revisiting some of these techniques to add to my journal. So I'm pleased I have some extra pages too, because if I'm feeling like a little bit of a just because stitch, I can go, right, let's grab the journal out. There's all my goodies, find a design, go for it. I still have a few pages spare in my Roxy Journal of Stitchery journals, because I've got 2 of them there. I'm sure there's a couple pages. So I need to line this next row up with all of that corseting, that lace work, just to make sure we really get it. So that it looks, oops, I knew that'd be a problem. I put the horse before the cart there by doing that lace work, but I was busting to try. So now it is going to be in my way a little, but take your time. It's all good, isn't it, the way? You see something you want to stitch and you're just so excited to stitch it and your boots and all in, and then you're like, now that's in my way. I should have done all that boring stuff first. Maybe that's just me. You can always tell when you don't do the split stitch, when you just drop the stitch straight in. It just doesn't look right. I think I'm getting a bit tight on the old thread, so we might just do this one stitch. Yeah, end it off. Gives a lovely raise to stitch too when you do the split back stitch. Really does elevate your line or your detail. Will we see the end of the little reel in this episode? Isn't that riveting? Waiting to see if Corrine gets to the end of the reel. Goodness me. Yeah, I like that. Really, really cute. I think this helps too. It just sort of brings that cream stitching. That there looks like a diary too. I was looking at it the other day with the Saturday and the 3rd. It's like the seamstress has a fitting in her diary scheduled for the lady that would own this corset. Once again, making up stories to suit the story. Oh, that's so crooked. And I didn't split it. So you can just tell the moment it's not right. Concentrate on what I'm doing and stop thinking about stories. I must tell you about my sandals. Oh, I tell you, I'm sure I've mentioned this before. I hate shopping for clothes. I'm one of those girls that walks to the doorway of a shop. I look at the fabric in mass and I think, oh, just could not be bothered. The whole undressing, dressing, dealing with the sales personnel, just the whole, you know. So I tend to glance in the shop, and if I see a colour in the distance that catches my eye, I may venture in, unless I'm desperate. Well, sandals. The girl's getting desperate. The girl buys sandals and she likes to think she gets a good 3 to 4 years out of them, sometimes longer. So every change of season, I do a wander through the shoe shops looking for a new pair of sandals, and 9 times out of 10 I don't find them. I look at the ones on my feet and go, no, that's enough, that'll do, I'm out. Well, roll forward to this summer and I'm looking at my sandals on my feet thinking they're just not going to make it. They are little red leather sandals. I love red sandals. I wear jeans, pretty much 3/4 length jeans all the time. So I've always got dark denim blue on the bottom of me and colour on the top. So probably 10 years ago, I decided that I could wear red sandals instead of black sandals or brown sandals, which I was so over. So the thing is, me, red sandals. So I've been wearing these little pair of red sandals for a few years now, and they're starting to look green. But what it is they're still red. Well, it's a faded red, nearly tangerine colour now, but they're still cool. But where my foot sits on the sole, I have worn off the sole, which was, well, it's not the sole, it's the upper, I think they call it, where your foot actually sits, that the piece that you stand on. I have worn that to the point where the brown tone, why is that thread there? What is that from? The brown tone is completely gone and I can see green. So I've completely worn through to the underlaying of the sole, upper sole. So if the shoe is on my foot, you can't really see it. But if I'm walking towards you, you can see a shimmer of frog green coming at you. Now, if I look from my... Did I split that stitch? Yes, I did. If I look from the top down to the top of my feet, I can't see it. But the moment I sit and maybe cross my feet at my ankles, I can see the green. So therefore, everyone else would see the green when I'm walking, but I can't see it when I'm walking because I'm looking straight down, only when I sit. So I noticed it last season, but it wasn't bad. I've pulled them out of the cupboard, worn them a couple times, and they're just getting old. So that layer of whatever it is there, the brown, is just coming off. The other thing I think it could be is I've mentioned that we're building up at a seaside town. So therefore I'm in around a bit of sand until we get some grass growing. When I've visited the building site, I've been wearing my little summer sandals because it's nice and warm up there compared to winter in Brisbane. So I would say the sand is between me and that sole, and that abrasiveness has produced the frog green colour, which has now jiggered my probably 4-year-old sandals that are probably jiggered anyway. Well, they've really jiggered now because I can see frog green coming at me. So anyway, long story short, off I go to the shoe shops, and we don't have many to pick from. They're either fashion-y type shops, so when you're buying something straight out of China and it's going to fall to bits in no time, so you'd probably wear it to a function and that's the end of that. Highly uncomfortable. And their sandals, they just, oh, they look terrible. I could see hot glue where they joined them. So in disgust, off I go to the next shop. And I finally get to the shop which I bought them from, and the majority of my shoes have ever come from. And I seem to keep going back to this one brand, and they last. But boy, have they gone up in price from, I guess I'm talking 10, 15 years ago. You'd get them for $39, then they went to $79, and now they're $129. So, and you're just getting sandals. It's just, don't get me sidetracked on inflation. So I go in there, and they've got the same sandal, but just slightly different look, you know, where they just change it a little bit each season. And I scan the shelf, no red sandals. There were none last year, hence I didn't buy. And this year there's none. But I spot sitting on the shelf some sandals. They're near identical to the ones I got. They have red over the toe. It's 3 straps, 2 over the toe and 1 around the ankles. So the one over the toe, closest to the toes, is my red. Yay. The next one is hot pink, and the one around the ankle is orange. So we're talking probably that orange, probably that pink, and then red. Well, don't they look spiffy? So the girl is now sporting a mix of red, pink, and orange sandals. And I love them. I love them. It's like I glance down and just see silliness. And I think they are just gorgeous. Now, of course, there's always a deal. You know, you buy one, you get your second pair half price. And I said to the lady, I don't do brown, I don't do black. Gone are those days. I'm more adventurous now. It's red sandals or nothing. And you've got me into pink, orange, and red. But I spot a pair of navy blue, same sandal, but navy blue. Oh, I put them on. And of course, I'm wearing my 3/4 length jean type pants. Don't they look nice? Very matchy, but I sort of feel like if I want to tone it down a little. So buy 1 pair of sandals, get your second pair at half price. The girl walks out swinging her sandals in her boxes. I get to the car and my husband's like, oh, thank goodness she's finally found some sandals, because I've been banging on about sandals for 2 years. I go for a look, come out, no, nothing, gonna just wear these. So I come out with 2 boxes and he's like, wow, this is exciting. And yes, so I opened the box to reveal my red, pink, orange sandals, and he's just looked at me and says, they're the same. I said, no, they're not. They're red, pink, and orange. And he said, well, they look the same to me. I said, no, they're not. They are multicolored. He's just like, okay. So he said, what do the other pair look like? And I opened that box and they're identical except navy, and his face was priceless. He was just like, they're the same. I said, no, they're not. They're navy. It's very exciting. So anyway, he's just like thinking the girl's crazy girl. So that's my sandal experience. I'm so excited. I have found myself some sandals. I'm just trimming this back, but I just want to make sure that it's going to fit right in the journal. So that's that bottom edge. I can trim that, no problems. And I should be able to follow my base plate. So that's my latest story. The girl is sporting herself some fancy red, pink, and now I've forgotten already, orange sandals and a pair of navy sandals. She is really mixing it up this summer. So if you do bump into me or you see this girl walking towards you with these sandals on, you'll be like, oh, I wonder if that's Corrine. Probably will be, because they probably wouldn't sell many of the sandals, according to my husband. I think if I trim that there, I'm probably too zoomed in for you guys. Let me just get this snipped down. Now I might just jump up and turn the iron on. Then I'm going to come back and do this side, and I'll bring the camera up. Can't stop thinking about my sandals. All right. I'm still here, just turning on my little iron, because I just want to give that a little iron through there, and then I can, won't take long, and that will heat up, so that will fit. So where will I trim that? Okay, if I go really close to that template, that's why it's so good to do all your templates, and then you know exactly that it fits, and try and stay within it. Unless, of course, you want to create a tab or something like that. Well, that's, you know, definitely a possibility. Yeah, that will join to that. So I think I've explained this before, but I tend to do 2 pieces of fabric, so I'd be able to stitch on there, hide all my stitching, and then connect it to there, ready to just join it all so it becomes one. But if for some reason I decide that I want to add more, I could slide that into there. And I've just picked myself up another page, which I think I did do further back. And being that my spine is very generous, I could easily do that. So I think I will. And that'll just give me another spot for another day that I can slide work into. But I guess if you find that your spine is getting a little tight, you may have made some embroideries that were quite bulky. Well, that gives you the wriggle room that you can always just join them up. I do like to give myself wriggle room because I change my mind. So it's a good way of just, you know, playing a little more in your journal, so to speak. But I'd be pretty confident I could get an easy, see, I've even got bulky fabric. Let me just change that. See, I've got all this fabric piled here, so we can assume that that could be stitched, that could be stitched. Plus, I think we put more in the front too. Yeah, we got all that, and I can still see, let me get it up. I can still see that there is plenty of space. See that there? That there is space for future stitcheries. So this can come up, gee, nearly an inch. That's fantastic. So I am definitely going to take the opportunity of stitching this guy directly onto there and saving that for a rainy day. So all I'm going to do now, I'm sure I've showed you how I do all this, but just in case you're new and you're wondering how we attach, always keep back from the spine a little bit. You don't want it crashing into the spine. Then just pin it. There's an opportunity at this point that you might decide that you want some dingle dangles hanging out of everywhere. So for example, let's grab a piece of lace, and you might say, well, that would look really good up there, it would suit this. So you could put through just a little piece of lace like that, and it just adds a little feature. I think there was a piece of lace actually planned for the bottom of this corset, wasn't there? Yeah, I remember something about that. Just let me unplug the iron. I can hear it clicking. I'm going to end up with a burn. A burn on my elbow. Let's just explore that lace again. Okay. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, remember there was a piece there. Gosh, I tend to forget these things when you're a few weeks in. Do I have anything fine enough? I don't know if I like it, guys. I just don't know. I think here's a little cream one. Maybe it's the colour. See, this is small. That's not too bad. Oh, I do like that. It's very fine. Yeah, let's do it. What the hang? Let's say the client has suddenly gone, can you add lace to the bottom of me corset? Yes, dear, of course we can. The seamstress job is never done. Look, I'm doing accents now, for goodness sakes. Impersonations of a lady in the 1800s. So let's just back it up a bit here. Get these pins out. Move our journal out of the way. Bring our piece back into play. Talk about degree of difficulty. I might just use the scallops a little bit there. Let's see if I can get a pin in. As if the scallops start and finish. Got a knot, yes. Let's have a look. Yep. I'm just going to tuck it in. That's helped push that blue back a little bit more again. Probably even put lace across the top of her corset too, couldn't we? Oh gosh, here we go. Just when you think the girl's finished, she finds something else she can add. If only I was as lavish with my wardrobe that I wear as I am with my stitching. Oh, I think the problem is I know sewing, so I look at clothing and prices of clothing and it just annoys me. I know it's an industry on its own, but I think once you make a bit of your own clothing back in the day, I don't anymore, of course, but you sort of, I don't know. I'm not a designer snob. Like, I appreciate the work that goes into things, but I probably am a bit of a clothing snob. Okay, that's looking good. That's really made it. Well, there you go. Glad I remembered that. I would have stitched that in and gone, oh, thanks for reminding me, guys. I'm sure you were yelling at the screen going, Corrine, you were going to put some lace there. Because that's a little scalloped edge lace, I'll bring it up to the camera in a second. I'll just finish this off. I can trim that back a little bit so it actually looks even daintier. I'll bring it up to the screen. See how it's got a little scalloped edge? So, see that? I'm going to attempt to cut it there. And that scalloped edge will really be quite pronounced. And if I trim back that little, tiny little bit there, like a finicky, and pop an iron onto that, better still, I might pop a stitch. It's old lace, so it's a bit creased. So I might just pop a little stitch there. That'll support that end. Then I don't have to worry about my iron burning or melting the lace, and it'll sit. Yep, that's good. Just a little stitch to hold it. Oh, how sweet. Should we just try a little bit on the top of her neckline? Might be too big. Let's have a look. Ooh. Does look quite bulky. We're sort of losing her. Is that a princess line neckline? I haven't said that word for a long time. No, it's too bulky. And I would say with confidence that I don't have anything really narrow. I'd have to really go hunting. I think I'm going to leave it. We need that because maybe her evening gown has a neckline like that, and we're going to have lace poking out where this would be under her skirt, and no one would know that that little trim was there. There you go. Okay, the client's happy now. Back to where we were going to stitch in this piece. So I might just get myself a thread. We've trimmed it to size. And what we'll do, just for decorative purposes, we will add the lace to the top of the page. Is that the right lace? What will we see on the other side? It's probably not fancy enough. What about this lace? Is that too much? Yeah, it doesn't look right. What about might not have anything in there. Nope. What about a bit of crocheting? So I'm always looking for ways of using these bits. They come off of all of the doilies when I take their motif out. So there's always these little lovely scallops and straight edges, but I don't know. I think they're too thick. Oh, hello. Oh, not enough. That would be good. See that crochet edge? I've used that so many times. It's probably the last little bit of it. Let's just have a rummage. There might be another morsel in here. I don't think so, guys. Might be time to go off to the op shop again and look for some old crochet edged doilies that I can salvage the crocheting. I've got one more container we should check. There could be something interesting in here. I don't think so. These are sort of unusual shapes. What's down there? Nope. 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 Okay. Put that away. Well, I don't know. I don't think I like that. It'd be all right if it was showing, I guess, on the top edge. So you got the benefit of the little, that edge. But then when you get over here, all I'd be seeing is a tiny little bit poking through the top, and I just don't think it's worth the effort. I'm going to leave it. Going to leave it. Don't need it. So now I'm just going to spin it around, line it all up. I should be fine in there. Yep. Pin it. And then it's just a case of going along each edge, double checking what's underneath, that you're not bumping into something or interfering with something, and stitching it into your journal. And let's say in the future you're wanting to maybe gift a page to someone or frame something for whatever reason, or put a piece into a show, you can easily get in here and just snip out those little threads and remove it. Very, very simple. So what I might do is just catch the fabric. I haven't gone through to the other side to get my thread going. I've come up through my piece, and then I'm just going to do a little stitch, go back down, come through. It's fiddly, but take your time. And this is how I stitch a piece into my journal. So now I can come up through the fabric, little stitch, slither through, check that everything's good that end. Yep, come back up through. So yeah, like I said, if you wanted to take this piece out and pop it into a little frame or give it to someone, it'd be just a case of taking your little scissors, having a little peek in there to see where your thread has scooted through, and snip it out. Or let's say you had a look at the piece and you're going, gee, I'd like to do some embroidering on there of some flowers and add to it. Well, you just snip it out. If you're unsure about the work and you think you might revisit it, just put an X here, an X here, X there, and on the opposite corner, and that'll be enough. That'll hold it in the book. It won't be then rattling around in your craft room and get potentially lost. You can just secure it in your little journal, and you can always then just remove it. You wouldn't even need to knot off those X's, just make them loose and snip and release. Be very, very simple. So I'm just coming along this bottom edge now. Little stitch, sneak through, catch all those layers, come back up. Little stitch, and come back up. It's really simple and easy to remove the piece. There we go. And that's it. Just catching that layer, going right through. It's, you know, at the end of the day, our work is so thick and chunky because we've got layers and layers of fabric that it's pretty easy to do some little stitches. And like I said, just secure it with the least amount of stitching as you want. If you find that this is quite a difficult task, you would not need much to tack it into position, and it'll be forever safe and secure. So I'm just going to shimmy up went right through that time to the front piece just to double check that I'm getting it nice and secure. If anywhere is going to be a pressure point, it's where people turn your pages. So I'm just sort of sneaking through the front embroidery as well, just to make this edge really secure. And if you use a milliner's needle or a straw needle that are nice and sharp and thin, you're guaranteed then that you'll catch everything. A crewel needle might be a bit thick. They usually have nice big eyes on them, which are probably my go-to needle, but sometimes they're a bit of a crowbar. So you might just need to get a finer needle for this. And it's only cotton from the sewing machine that I'm using, so you can then, I guess, handle the... I've got a bit of ribbon embroidery here, so I'm just taking my time. I don't want to upset any of those little roses. Slithering through. I did come through that time, so I'll just go straight back under. There we go. Lovely. Gosh, I can't believe we're nearly at the end of the year. I know we're not nearly at the end of the year, but I remember starting this project thinking, oh gosh, there's 9 months of stitching. That'll be great. That'll get me to the end of the year. And before I know it, we're here. Gosh. I suppose when you start thinking back to the Roxy Journal of Stitchery programs that we've all been participating in, that has flown. Like, we're just volume 4. Like, oh my goodness. Nearly there. That stitch came right through the other side, so I'm just going to, that's better, just slither my way through. Get rid of that pin before I forget it. Nothing better than handing your book over to someone to have a look and then you hear a squeal and they find a pin that you've forgotten. Aren't I nasty? Especially when you do layers of fabric. Sometimes I find there's a pin. There we go. Nearly to the corner now. It's a bit cack-handed. I should be spinning the journal, but oh, I knew that was pushing my luck. One more stitch is all I wanted. Oh, now the thread's splitting. That bloomin' cheap cotton, which isn't cheap. Still haven't got to the bottom of why this reel of cotton is a bit dodgy. Okay, I'll just let that loose because that is not going to come out anyway. Oh, look, I've caught a bead. Goodness me. Okay, so now I just need to do this last little bit because I started halfway along the spine. So that won't take long. Look at the time, my goodness me. Okay, this feels a bit cack-handed, this last bit, but we are going to come up from the centre to the outer edge. Where's my thread gone? Talk about milking the last few minutes of the video. Just drop the thread 3 times. Okay, in we go. It's like surgery. A long needle makes it a little bit more easier to get your stitch. Get rid of the pin. Last pin for the project. Wow. Oh, it's not sad because I've still got room in the journal, so it's all good. I'm not going to get emotional. Alrighty, that's it. That's it. That's it. There you go, Susanna. We made it. We made it to the end of the finish line. Love it. Needle turn applique. I wonder if I'll remember because I haven't written the name of the project, like Crazy Patchwork. Already forgotten. I think it's accessories. Log cabin. Ribbon embroidery. Cut work. I'll never remember. I will always remember that because I was traumatized after that experience. Cross stitch. English paper piecing. Title page. Vintage sewing techniques. There's my pattern. There's some spares. And I have heaps of room in my Tim Holtz fabric inspired journal. Love it. Love it. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining me. Hope you enjoyed the journey. We will be back to visit this. Threads everywhere. It's typical. So stay tuned. Maybe next month I'll come up with something I see and go, let's explore, or let's revisit one of these techniques. It won't be cut work, let me just tell you that. Won't be tatting either. Thank goodness she didn't pick tatting. Anyway, I do get sidetracked very easily. All right, guys, look after yourselves. Have a great day, and I hope you get some stitching done. Thanks for joining me. Bye. Bye-bye, Susanna. Bye.